You gotta break through. Break through. Top of the morning to you. Fun fact, that's actually not something that Irish people say. I learned that when I was waitressing at a strip club. A group of Irishmen came into the club and I was like, "Can you say top of the morning to you?" He was like, "Irish people don't say that. It's not a thing." Just putting that out there. While I eat my breakfast, I want to discuss fear around being authentic, especially for those who were displaced at a really young age. This is a really, really, really important topic to touch on. When you are displaced at a young age, it is very hard as an adult to understand, who am I and how do I move through life? How do I interact with this world that I'm around? For me personally, I constantly found myself defaulting to these safe roles that I took on when I was a child living in other people's homes. Even as I sit here and talk about these things, I can hear these like voices in my head that are like, who do you think you are to be talking to other people about being authentic? And then my brain goes to all of these things that I should be doing right now to make sure that I can survive. I have to just let myself, like my body, I can feel how anxious I am in my body right now just trying to discuss this. This is who I am, and I'm not surviving anymore. I'm thriving. It's gonna take a little while for my body to catch up with that reality. That's just how fear has to be dealt with. Patience, love, deep breaths, consistent breaths, and stillness. Because I do have something to say, and I do have something to offer. And although I may still be working on it, I am doing the work, therefore I have experience, therefore I have something to share. And this is relevant information because the same truth goes for you. Speaking your truth and being yourself, especially when you're displaced as a young child, is really hard. And so I want to talk about the fear, and I want to talk about why you can't let the fear stop you. The fear of being yourself when you're displaced as a young person goes so much deeper than the mind. When you're displaced as a young person and your brain is still developing, it makes being an authentic adult probably the biggest obstacle that you'll ever face. But it is an obstacle that can be completed, can be overcome, can be conquered, if you want to think about it in that sense. I think it's helpful to think about it more in a sense of healing the fear and being with the fear and understanding what it is, why it is, because the fear itself is the gateway to a life of authenticity. The fear tells you everything you need to know about what you currently believe that is stopping you from being the person that you want to be. For example, in this moment, I have this fear that I'm not good enough or I don't know enough to share my wisdom. And so I can look at that. I can look at that fear and I can say, okay, you think that my experiences are irrelevant. Now I can think logically, what are my experiences? My experiences are that I was displaced as a young person, that I struggled to be myself. Around people, I never really felt complete or whole. There were moments when I would walk away from a situation thinking and feeling, I wasn't totally honest about how I felt about that situation, or I didn't speak in a way that really felt true in that situation. I regret having said what I said. I regret having done what I did because it wasn't quite it. Now I can look at, have there been times when I have walked away from the situation feeling like, yeah, I was really authentic in that moment? Yes, I can say yes. I have absolutely 110% done that. And I've been doing it a lot more recently, and I know that I've done it because I have felt uncomfortable. But I felt good because my conscience was clear. I behaved in an authentic way. I felt good in my body. I felt uncomfortable up here because I began to think, oh, am I making them uncomfortable? Oh, did I hurt their feelings? Oh, but this felt safe. And so I know that I did the right thing. I know that I behaved in an authentic way. And so that's how you can use fear to comfort yourself. You can use fear to heal the fear. You can't let, or you shouldn't let fear stop you from being exactly who you want to be, because there's something about you. There's something about the things that you do and the way that you do them that inspires somebody else. And I'm learning that ultimately that is what life is about, especially for creative people, is to inspire other people. And I used to think that that wasn't enough. I used to think, maybe in truth I'm still working on it, but I used to think that I had to have a purpose that was bigger than just inspiring somebody else to be themselves. But the more I drift away from modern cultural ideas, the more I begin to see and believe that perhaps this idea that we have this big purpose is just religious brainwashing. Maybe it's just patriarchal brainwashing. Maybe it's just wounded masculine brainwashing. If I think about my body, and if I think about the earth, and I think about how all of these systems, these natural systems, organic systems, were created to heal themselves, to work perfectly. I don't think that we need anything more than to enjoy what we have, to care for what we have, to nurture what we have. You can't care for or nurture what you are if you are not it. If you are tending to a mask, what happens to your real face? You know, if you're constantly tending to your armor, what happens to your body? You can't let fear stop you from being who you are, from being who you really are. Be who you want to be. Do the things that you want to do. Take some time to really feel it in your body. Is this me? Is this really authentic? And you're going to feel the fear if it's real. We all regret things sometimes. It's what makes life playful. It's what makes life joyful, because it's not perfect all the time. And if I let the fear of maybe regretting something in the future stop me from being who I feel I am right now, then I will never live authentically. Authenticity does not equate perfection. It's not what it's about. Authenticity is sometimes messy because we're human and we're colorful, and we forget, and then we remember, and we yell, and we laugh, and we scream, and we cry, and we dance, and we move, and we're still, and we breathe. There's nothing perfect about it, except that it's perfect. Let it be messy. Let go of the fear of trying to live within the lines that worked for survival. Staying in the lines, keeping your head down, doing what you need to do to get the money, to keep the roof over your head, to have the vehicle, to have the insurance, to have the food. You know, you did everything you needed to do to survive. But living is a wild ride. Being yourself, being authentic is terrifying and amazing, because you don't know what you're gonna get, and it makes life fun. And perspective is another thing that we'll get into in another video. You gotta break through. You're gonna disappoint people when you're authentic. You're going to let people down. People are going to walk away from you. But all that is space. It's room for the right things to step in. And that is so exciting. And I can tell you from experience that that does happen. When I quit drinking, I had no friends for, let me think about this. I didn't have friends for about 3 years. 3 years. I did not have any close friends after I quit drinking alcohol. I was alone. I was alone, and it was really hard, especially when I had my major surgery and didn't have anybody to take care of me. That was hard. But you know what? Shortly after my surgery, I discovered the spiritual community here in Madison. And now I have the most top tier friends. I have the highest of quality of friends because I stuck to my authenticity. I stuck with my truth. I said, this is who I am now. And the universe waited for me to be sure. Is this who I really am? Yep, this is who I really am. And then the universe opened up. It opened up. It went from this, because I had to keep my circle small, and I had to let go of things and make my world smaller and less complicated. And then I was like, yeah, this is who I am. The universe said, okay, here we go. Here we go. And now I just have the bestest of friends, women who are really doing something, who are passionate about creation, who are passionate about feeling, who are passionate about healthy conversation and holding space and loving each other and providing for each other. So let the things fall away. Don't let the fear make you run backward. Keep going. Because who you really are, there's a whole world waiting to nurture you and waiting for you to nurture it. There's a whole world designed just for you, for who you really are. And it's gonna take you higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher into who you really are. You're gonna refine your craft as you continue on this path of who you are. And you're going to be more you and more you and more you. So you that you are your own world. You are your own planet, your own earth, or whatever you want to call yourself. And you welcome people into that world that you want in your world. And you take the leave of people who don't need to be in your world. You walk as an earth saying, welcome. This is who I am. This is what I have to offer. This is my planet. You have the power, the permission, and the right as a sovereign human to live that way. You gotta let go of that fear. Heal it, acknowledge it, and listen to it. Don't let it make decisions for you now, but listen to it because it holds the key to being authentic. That's gonna be all for my TED Talk today. I love you and I wish you the best. And thank you for being on this journey with me as I learn to become who I truly am. And I'm very, very, very excited to be on this path. All right, I'll see you on the next one.